What is going on, guys? Alex here. Again, I'm back for a video. Recently, over this format, I've just been thinking 24/7 that this format right now is great that we're in. We've got some nice new innovative decks coming in, and there's a lot more flexibility in this deck in this current format that we're in. Firewall is now completely off the radar, and now FTKs are starting to slowly fade away, and we're seeing some really cool decks coming in, and like stuff we've seen like Prank Kids win YCS Milan. We've actually got some amazing stuff that's going on, and here I'm going to be sharing five sleeper decks, the top five sleeper decks in my personal opinion. So you got to remember, firstly, this is my opinion on this list, and this is me telling you guys what I think is the best thing to play if you're not a person who likes stuff like Dark Warrior or Sky Strikers and all that sort of stuff, or Thunders. These are probably the decks for you. Some of these on here are very affordable as well. So yeah, let's go straight into this. First deck we have at number five is Burning Abyss, a deck I really didn't want to put in the list because personally I've had enough of people saying Burning Abyss, but the deck is just so good. Like the deck just has a lot of differential when playing. The fact that the deck doesn't require you to play spells because of Sekka's Light is just absolutely incredible. And then you've got cards like Dante, who still is at three, funny enough, and Beatrice, which sadly is at one, but still allows great things to happen. You've also got Naturia Beast you can use because of cards like Elephant being a tuner. This deck is just absolutely amazing, and I think personally in the future when Needle Fiber comes out, we might actually be seeing Needle Fiber in this deck due to the tuners that you can play in the deck. Adding on to that, if you have the danger monsters, which aren't exactly cheap, they go really well in there. And I've seen so many variants that use Galaxy Tomahawk with Nessie and Dogman because of course they're both level 7s. Then you got cards like Orbital Hydrolander and Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, which just fit so well. Also you've got just Curious as well, the Lightsworn Link monster, which is just great because you can dump whatever the hell you want. Heck, I've even seen people use cards like Armageddon Knight in it, and personally, as much as I don't agree with that card, it somehow works. Number four, I have Prank Kids. Now, the reason why I put this in not is not just because of YCS Milan and the deck was the fact the deck won YCS Milan. This deck has been a sleeper since the time it was released. I had a feeling that if this deck received some good support, then it would be a top tier deck. And what happened? It won YCS. The thing that I love about this deck the most is that it's consistent. You play three of each Prank Kid monster, and then you have lots of different plays that you can go for. The OTK potential in this deck is through the roof, and the fact that it uses both fusion and link monsters actually just creates a good balance and something that your opponent just won't expect. Adding on to that, we've got Rip Roaring Rooster and Battling Butler, both being a Feather Duster and a Regeki, is just absolutely incredible. And the fact that you contribute these monsters with their quick effects is nuts, making targeting much harder for your opponent. So really solid deck overall, and the fact that no one sees it coming is just absolutely crazy. And the thing that I like about it as well is the fact you have the ability to burn your opponent for a bit and gain life points. I remember seeing replays, and the person who was playing them was actually at one stage over 10,000 HP or life points, and I was thinking, what the heck is going on? It's nuts, this deck, and I really think it's a great sleeper deck. Coming in at number three is actually a small favorite of mine, which is True Draco. I think I might have put it a bit too high on this list, but hear me out. The deck is basically Mr. Floodgate deck. You've got a great amount of floodgates, and technically you can play three skill drain. Skill drain itself and two copies of the Monarch's Erupt. That basically is three copies of skill drain. The deck is absolutely insane. Very consistent with cards like with Diagram, Heritage, and all that sort of stuff. And the searching is just absolutely amazing. And the whole thing I like about the deck as well is how much draw power you can use is insane. Like in my variant of it, I play Demise, I play Desires, Upstar Goblin, basically anything that will give me a free draw, including stuff like, what's it called, Pot of Duality and everything. It just fits so well. And the fact that this deck is very normal summon based deck, you're not really restricted to and affected by these cards that what's it called? Punishes special summons. So really is a very powerful deck. And the fact that it searches during your opponent's turn means you can play Mr. Inspector Boarder, because Inspector Boarder, if you go first, is just crazy. It basically shuts your opponent down altogether, and it's just a far better version of Amano Iwato. Adding on to that, I've started to see versions with who are playing Waking the Dragons, and the reason why they play this is basically so they don't give away what deck they're playing, because loads of people do notice the moment that they see a deck that doesn't have an extra deck that's automatically going to be True Dracos. There is nothing else that's going to happen. Also, the fact that you can play cards like Gozen Match, Rivalry, and There Can Only Be One, it just makes an incredible deck. I mean, sure, you don't play a lot of monsters, but because Diagram boosts them up a bit, it's just absolutely insane. And I really think that this deck is actually great. Plus, I think it's rather affordable, actually, with loads of cards being reprinted recently. You know, Gozen Rivalry being reprinted, Inspector Boarder having that reprint in the Megatins alongside a few of the other cards. It just makes the deck really good for everybody. And the fact that it's not extra deck reliant, it just makes it even better. And that's why I think True Draco really deserves to be at the number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2, I have Cyber Dragons, and really I cannot express how much this deck is just amazing now. Now beforehand, before the ban list dropped, this deck was good, but had its flaws just because it's so reliant on going second, and going second is actually really painful for this deck. Don't get me wrong, you can still play really well because your cards got evenly matched, which just does really well. I remember when I used to play the deck, I played three evenly matched in my main deck, and it just really prevented my opponent from doing anything, because you can just blow up their whole field. And then you've got Mega Fleet, which is one of the only cards that can easily, with no stress, no pain whatsoever, take out an extra link. And now extra linking is a lot rarer, but you can actually get rid of extra links really well, and any problematic card that's actually sitting around in your opponent's extra deck zone. I mean, sure, it can't get rid of stuff like number 86, but still, it's an absolutely amazing deck. And then you've got a machine duplication, which is basically quite nuts, because it allows you just to summon 2 more Cyber Dragon cards for free, which is just insane. Like, imagine that, summoning Network and then summoning core and then machine duping it for 2 more Cyber Dragons. Like, that's just crazy. Gozen Match and Rivalry, since you're playing all your monsters as light and machine, the deck just is just brilliant with those cards. It just prevents your opponent from really playing the game. Adding on to that, we've now got Cyberload Fusion. Cyberload Fusion is just absolutely amazing. Shuffling cards back into the deck in order to summon another one just allows an easy OTK. And I think that with cards like Galaxy Soldier, this deck is just really free. And the one thing I didn't mention as well in the text is that this deck is one of the best decks at fighting Thunders, and the reason for that is because Cyber Dragon Infinity can steal it. It can steal Thunder, Colossus, it can steal Titan, and that is what makes this deck really good. You can steal cards. So it just removes the whole fact that you'd have to destroy your opponent's monsters to get rid of them. I think that's just really good. So that's why Cyber Dragons are at number 2. But at number 1, which I'll go to in a second, you probably might be a bit surprised on what number 1 is. But firstly, I've got one honorable mention, and that goes to Spiral. Spiral did not make the list. I really wanted to put Spiral in the list because it is one of my favorite decks, but the only reason why it didn't hit this list is just because of how many hits the deck has had. You've got Spiral Resort, Limited, Drone, and Quick Fix all being at 1. But the reason why Spiral I think is a really good deck at the same time is because it's one of the only link spam decks that really wasn't affected when Fire or Dragon got banned. You can still Tri-Gate lock your opponent, and Sleephook is pretty much one of the best boss monsters that has ever been created, in my opinion. And you've got so much protection with this deck, but I really think that the best sleeper deck to ever be in this format, and like you could agree, you can disagree, but it goes to number 1 goes to ABC. I really, really love this deck, and since A has came back to three, and we've got a lot more support. Um, well, not support. We've got lots more other cards that support this deck. I really think ABC is just an absolutely solid deck for this. Remember the pieces don't have any hard ones per turns, which is just absolutely incredible. ABC Dragon Buster banishes, so it's actually really good again against Thunders because Thunders prevents destruction, but doesn't actually what's it called? Doesn't prevent banishing. So you've really got a solid boss monster that can actually tag itself out if it's about to get targeted, or even just at your end of your opponent's turn. You just tag it out and then go into another one the next turn. Adding on to that, you've got cards like Desires and Consistency cards that can fit in really well, considering you're playing pretty much three of each piece. So losing one isn't really the end of the world. Plus, Knightmare Gryphon now is absolutely insane, and I've been playing this deck for a while, and I can't explain how much fun this deck is and how good it is. I've even been experimenting with Gunblar. Yes, Gunblar, which can go really well into the deck. And now Europe, me living in England, obviously, we've now got Summon Sorceress, and Summon Sorceress creates dirty combos. I mean, I've done 2 card combos that have allowed me to get into 3 ABC Buster Dragons on the first turn, and that really should not be allowed. Union Hangar is 2 free searches when you summon as well, and Gozen and Rivalry again, amazing cards to go with it. And the whole thing that I like as well is that right now there aren't really many decks that have the ability to go into um, level 4 XYZs, and we've got some really good level 4 XYZs that can fit this. We've got Abyss Dweller to Tsukiyomi, and Abyss Dweller, in my opinion, is one of the best extra deck monsters in the format because it completely shuts down Dark Warrior, it completely shuts down decks like what's it called, Sky Strikers, because they're not going to be able to recycle with Kagari. There's just really good things, and Brilliant Fusion is a free dump, and with heavy mech support armor being able to revive, the deck is just really good, very consistent as well. You can open 2 cards and make it like an insane board, and considering that it can be XYZ Link or fusion related, your opponent just doesn't see it coming. And I think overall ABC is the best sleeper deck for this format. Adding on to that, it is extremely affordable. I mean, you can make a super helmet version for like what, about £30, or maybe even a slight bit less than that. Those of the cards were reprinted, and I really think because of this reason, ABC is at number 1. But that's just it, and this is my opinion. And remember, guys, and that is it for this top 5. If you enjoy it, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe for some more content. I will have some more deck profiles for you around the corner. If you'd like to see a true Draco or an ABC deck profile, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and make sure you tell me in the comment section on what you would like to see, because I'm really thinking this. I really want to hear your voices and hear what you want to see from me. Anyway, as per usual, my name is Alex, and I'll speak to you guys later. Au revoir.